It's been an incredible journey. Not a particularly, I only see the journey in increments. I don't see it. It's been 5 years, but it seems like only a few months because I don't dwell on where it's come from and so forth. But
Okay.
Frank was always into frequencies in the 70s. And we understood frequencies,
Yes.
and we loved them. And then when you presented, Frank built me a Hilda Clark. And I used to talk to Hilda Clark quite often in Tijuana when she was there.
Yes.
And we talk about frequencies in healing and so forth. So it was an amazing thing. And then when you presented Spooky2, we went, yes, we understand. So I started out with breast cancer and in both breasts, and a fungating breast in the left breast. No doctor would touch me or cut it off because they knew that I would die, and they didn't want that on their record. I had chemo for that, which wasn't too bad. The machines, we constantly ran detox, and we constantly ran. I've got, how many machines do I have in there running?
You've got 3 generators and 1 GenX.
I've got 3 generators and 1 GenX, and they run 24/7. I never turn them off.
Right, and we've got a Scalar in the lounge room.
Scalar in the lounge room.
Which the cat's under at the moment.
Oh, our cat, we think the cat's been bitten by a snake.
Oh, no.
And this cat is under, and the cat's under the scalar. And I put some herbs on the scalar, on the receiver, on the transmitter, and he's receiving herbs. And it's been 3 days and he's not dead yet, so that's good.
Oh.
Yeah, but
So we,
okay.
yeah, he's a beautiful thing. He's a stray cat, and we fell in love with him.
Mm.
And we think he's been bitten by either a black. We have brown snakes here, but I don't think it was a brown. But because we couldn't identify it, no vet would help.
Yeah.
They just go, let the cat run its course, you see. So
right.
we can't do that. So he's under the scalar and he hasn't moved. He's been there all day.
Okay. He knows where it's safe.
Yeah, they do. They really do know. So I had radiotherapy for the fungating breast, which gave me a furry lung and lung cancer. So with that, they called it terminal. And in February of this year, they decided to put me into palliative care. I had no puffiness in the skin, nothing. The face was all gaunt, and
Gosh.
I was all like a wet prune.
Oh, no.
And so I managed to clear the lungs up, and I used Spooky and I used the scalar, and I put onions because onions have got sulfur in them and they're great for the respiratory system. And they used to use them during the war, the First World War and the Second World War, and they used them in different countries like Siberia and so forth. So, and I'm drinking onion tea. And you put that onto the scalar and you can run it. You put it into your Spooky. I survived that, but the chemo gave me tumors. They decided, where was I? So they gave me chemo, more chemo after that radiotherapy. After February, I was sort of saying, look, I've made a decision. I don't really want to die. And she's going, well, like, it's too late. You can't do that. So that was February, and I went, oh yeah, I can. So I came home. We're playing with machines and doing absolutely everything.
Yeah.
And then they gave me a scan and discovered that the lungs had cleared up, but they didn't know how. So they were very, very surprised. So they gave me more chemo, and that was chemo for every fortnight with 1 week off.
Right.
And that chemo gave me tumours of the eyelids, under the eyelids, the bottom eyelids. So I finished up with tumours everywhere, which gave me 7 tumours of the brain, one of which I had to have come out because it was on the base of the spine. And that's why I'm a little bit rickety, because of having the brain opened. And now all I've got are bone tumours and cancer of the bone, but that's going too. But this is the interesting thing that I want people to understand, is that we haven't turned off the frequencies. We continually run them. I don't have any pain. Now, the only pain I've ever had is when they gave me dexamethasone, which is a dreadful, dreadful drug. And it's only been ever trialled on 3 horses. So, you know, I'm not a horse.
Yeah.
But I honestly believe that there's something in my simple understanding and simpleness. I believe that the frequencies are holding back the pain, or they're negotiating it. As something pops along, and as I have a treatment, a chemical treatment, they're negotiating. They're working constantly, because I don't have pain. And I do experience pain, especially on the dexamethasone.
Yes.
But apart from the journey, it's all been pain-free. And they can't understand that. And even having the tumour out, you know, a 9-hour operation, 18 hours in ICU, and there I am having this done. And the only pain I had is where they tied me to the rack for the operation, because the machines were still running at home.
You had
Now,
all your remotes running. All your remotes running as backup. While you went to hospital, while you had the operation, the remotes were busy doing their job.
That's right.
Gosh.
But here's the interesting thing, is I said to the surgeon, I said, I can see the brain, the matrix of the brain working, and I could see these patterns down here in the bottom of this right eye. And she said, well, that's where they were operating, on the vortex there of the brain.
Yeah.
And I could see all these patterns emerging. Now, she wasn't particularly interested, but the other young guy, he was interested. The other young surgeon, he was very interested, because he said he'd had somebody once before say that they could see these weird patterns as well. And it was like I was watching the brain re-heal. And I do believe that was my generators helping.
Wow.
Isn't that lovely? Thank you for whoever is writing on that. It's beautiful.
Very cool.
I'm hoping it'll help other people too. Because I had both. I had herbs. I've always been a herbalist. I've always followed herbs. So we have herbs, and we have the machines. But you can put the herbs into the scalar, like we're doing with the cat now, and we've done with ourselves. My medicine goes onto the scalar, everything. And this is where I am. And look at me, I definitely don't need palliative care.
No.
But as far as they're concerned, I'm cancer-free.
It's yeah, it's absolutely, I was trying to think of a word, but that means better than stunning. But there isn't, is there? And we've still got a beautiful Carmela Walker in front of us now, still above ground, and still smiling.
I know. And it's so funny, because I have my grave already purchased, and I have a lovely headstone put up there. So I've got a lovely grave, a lovely headstone. I've got it all worked out. It's all done. And now I don't require it for a while. Plus I've got I had a whole heap of tumours running from the breast to the head that showed up. And there are too many to count. But now they're not tumours. Apparently they've turned out, they've changed from being tumours to being little scarry lumps. So now I need to get into the machines and get rid of the scar tissue. I'm putting the flash on that. I'll tell you what, guys, that flash is amazing. You really haven't used its potential yet. It is awesome. these tumors on my neck were soft, and they told me there is nothing they can do about it, and they would definitely take me out if the lungs didn't take me out first. I put the flash on twice a day, and they're little hard scarry lumps now, and they x-rayed them, and there is no tumor in there whatsoever.
Wow.
They're all just little hard lumps, and some of them are quite large, but some of them are now getting smaller. So you know, and I've been using the flash gun on the fungating breast. It's gone from a dinner plate down to about that much.
Gosh, that's a huge reduction.
And this is a vital thing for women and people who have this fungating on their body, because no surgeon will touch you. Nobody wants to fix it. Nobody wants to look at it. Nobody wants to know about it. And you go to a hospital, and I mean, I had to go to our local hospital, and I was so ill, and I had an infection, and they sent me home. And then I had to go back again because I had the temperatures in the 40s, and they apologized for not looking after me, but they didn't know what to do. They had no idea what to do. And they just send people home to die in this agony, you know, in a state that's agonizing for these people. But if people could have, you know, if they just know that this flashes around and you just go, you know, 5 for 10, I do 5 for 20, I do 5 for 30, I do 5 for, you know, 25, and I just go around and flash. It's awesome. It works really, really well.
Well, thank you. Yeah, thanks a lot for sharing that story. It really is amazing to. I mean, it's so brilliant. We never knew just how terrible your health condition was. You always kept it to yourself, everyone does.
I find it's easier that if I sit down and I chat about it while I'm in the midst of something that's really huge, then it becomes bigger and my survival becomes less. I'm a firm believer that there's always somebody out there that's worse.
Yes.
Poor bugger. And there's always somebody out there that is having a really, really hard time. And I have husband, and I have the children, and I have the backup of the machines. So I'm a very, very fortunate woman. I'm very grateful to be living in an age where we're able to hand over and share all of this amazing knowledge. And by sharing it and handing it to other people, we're helping them to grow, to learn, and to heal. It's going to become a stage where health and medicine is all about, it's going to be very monetary, and people won't be able to afford to help themselves. This way, people can monitor their own health and just run it and run it and run it. And it's just going to stay on top of it. We have to come to this happy medium. And I think the machinery is the way to do it.
I was going to give you a plug. Since we've had the machine, we've been running it 24/7 for 5 years now. And we've not had a problem with any of it. The reliability is really tops. And it's something you should be putting in your advertising.
You should be very proud of that, extremely proud, because I can tell you what, you won't get that from other machinery. Okay? It's absolutely amazing. And it's a funny thing, people love coming here, but they don't want to leave. And I often wonder if it's the frequencies. And we have people coming who've got backaches and things like that. And, you know, we lay them down and out. We have a medicine room where we just use for the machinery. And it's wonderful.